This is the Brave New Coin Crypto Conversation, hosted by Andy Pickering.
Hi everyone, Andy Pickering here. I'm your host and welcome to the Crypto Conversation, a Brave New Coin podcast where we talk to the people building the future in the Bitcoin, blockchain and cryptocurrency space. This episode is brought to you by BNC Pro, the brand spanking new digital wealth platform featuring an all-in-one suite of customizable institutional-grade applications that help you manage your crypto investments. Yes, research, chart, screen, analyze, optimize, report, and more. BNC Pro is the ultimate portfolio tool for individual or enterprise use. Streamline your workflow, manage your crypto, and master this brave new asset class your way with BNC Pro. Go to bnc-pro.com now to create your free account, or just look for the link in the show notes to this episode. Now, on with the show. My guest today is Loi Luu. Loi is the CEO and co-founder of Kyber Network, one of the most used DeFi protocols in the world, and Kyber is an on-chain liquidity protocol that powers decentralized applications, exchanges, funds, and DeFi lending protocols. Loi has a PhD in computer science from the National University of Singapore, where he worked to improve decentralization, scalability, and security for the public blockchain infrastructure. And Loi was recently included in the Forbes 30 Under 30 list for Asia. Welcome to the show, Loi.
Thanks a lot for having me, Andy.
So this is quite a resume, Loi, and you're still quite young, but you've achieved a lot already, which is fantastic to see. Do you want to begin with maybe let's give us some of your personal story? Where are you from, and when did you start to play around with computers?
Right. I mean, I was born in Vietnam, in the northern part. So it's like an hour drive from Hanoi, from the capital. I think it was just all of a sudden, right? Like when I was growing up in my secondary high school, my parents just like bought me a PC, right? And I just got like super interested in it. I just like any other kid back then, right? Like, how frequent, it's not that frequent that you get in touch and actually like have a PC at home in my area. So I just, spent a lot of time on it, and then got interested in like programming and things like that. In my college, I study computer science, and after graduation, I just decided like to go overseas to do more research, because I really like want to understand more how all the things work. But I ended up like doing research full time on blockchain and cryptocurrency, just because it's not possible to learn everything. Yes. So. And the point of doing a PhD and doing a full-time research is that you have to focus on one or two different areas. And in 2013, I jumped into like a couple of like Bitcoin articles, right? That talk about different aspects of Bitcoin, the good and the bad, and the craziness happening with the price. Because back then, Bitcoin went all the way to, I think, from a few cents to like $1,300 US per Bitcoin, right? And everyone was crazy about it. I read a couple of articles, and I was like super interested because it actually has everything in computer science, right? It has applied cryptography, it has programming languages, it has like distributed system, and it even has like economic, right? I was like, this is the holy grail for computer science research. And for a new researcher, a young researcher like me, this is really like, a gold mine, right? So I just like got super interested in it from the academic curiosity, right? So I managed to convince my supervisor to allow me to do research full time in Bitcoin and blockchain.
Fantastic. So what year was this, did you say?
It was late 2013.
Okay, yeah, so Bitcoin's been out and around for a little while, and that's when you started to go down the rabbit hole while you're still doing your PhD.
Right, exactly.
Nice. I mean, yeah, I love that. You described that really well. That's I can totally imagine that for someone deep in the world of computer science and the rise of Bitcoin and the early days of blockchain, that would have been, a happy circumstance, being in the right place at the right time.
Exactly.
All right, so Loi, what happened next? How did you go from being effectively a student who was fascinated by this new world of blockchain, and what came next? What made you decide to begin, I guess, your own startup, or what was the problem that you thought you could begin to use blockchain to solve?
Yeah, I mean, like back then, there wasn't many like materials, right, about blockchain and cryptocurrency. So the only way to do research in this area is to really stick with the community, right? Like you got to read all the emails in the mailing list, for example, of the Bitcoin group, or you have to participate in the Ethereum, subreddit, or follow on Twitters and things like that. So I got to connect to a lot of community members and even people like Vitalik and Vlad, right? I talked to all of them like in early 2014, and got to know them, to really like understand what's going on in the space, what's the problems the space are still like solving or trying to solve. Yeah, and being like deep into the community, I really understand like what are the problems that we have to solve, right? And what are the real problems that would like enable the space to grow further, to be more mature, right? So during my PhD, we actually like develop and release the first open source smart contract security verifier, right, for Ethereum. And we released it like just I think a few weeks after the DAO hack. Uh, so it was like I'm not sure like whether it's good or bad timing, but back then when we released the software, it got a lot of attention, right? Because it allows people to paste their smart contract code, and the software was just like check whether it has like any potential bug, and it helps a lot in terms of like improving the security for the smart contract developers. And that's just one example, right? And after that, we work on a couple of other open source projects as well. And one of my, one of the major part of my PhD thesis was to how to scale the public blockchain using sharding protocol, right? And Zilliqa actually was inspired by my PhD thesis, and the major part of that protocol is still utilize my proposed solution.
And that piece of work, or that product that you created there, that's called Elastico, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and so I guess we're laying out your credentials here, and effectively some of the even the early work you did is still part of the I guess the essential pillars of blockchain technology today, right?
Right.
Yeah. So you've been working with Ethereum based projects and other blockchain projects for a number of years then. So let's start to move towards Kyber Network. So where did the idea and inspiration for Kyber come from?
Right. I mean, like I was trying to say that because we are really like we really understood the community well, right? And we know like what the problems the space is still trying to solve or solving, right? So back in 2017, together with the team, we really like analyze the space completely again and see what are the things that we still need to do, right, to really like improve the space. And back then it was all about trading, right? It was all about cryptocurrency trading, because it was the ICO boom and it got a lot of like attention from the new retails and things like that, right? And every month we heard a bad news about some centralized changes getting hacked, right? And a lot of people got affected, fund got stolen, money got stolen. People just think that cryptocurrency is just a world of like scammers and hackers. So we were like, we got to solve this, right? We got to solve the trading issues. We tried, so we spent like a few months to analyze, the existing solution for decentralized trading back then, and we decided like, we got to work on our own, because there isn't one that is super like user friendly and that is really like decentralized, right? Like to reduce all the potential intermediary risks. So that's where the main inspiration for Kyber. And after a few months, we proposed Kyber, and with the complete design that is fully on-chain decentralized trading protocol, right? And we have been working on it since then.
Yeah, so what you're describing is an interoperable decentralized exchange, if you're going to describe it in 3 words, right? And I guess the big idea is, you want to make it possible for anyone, wherever they are, whatever they do, to be able to exchange any kind of digital asset for another kind of digital asset. And really now you've become a blockchain-based liquidity protocol, and you can source that liquidity from a wide range of different reserves or different places. And really, that means that you've kind of grown to become almost at the part of the backbone of what we know or understand today as the decentralized finance ecosystem, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think when we design Kyber, right, we really spend a lot of attention and focus on enabling easy integration from different parties, right? Like be it wallet, be it new smart contract, or be it any DeFi application, right? Back then people didn't call it DeFi, but there were already a few applications like Melon Pot, Augur, and things like that really offer decentralized financial services. I think a couple of key design that we picked back then really enable the easy integration for Kyber. So first of all, we decided to build and run everything on the blockchain. So that means everything can be run on the smart contract, on the Ethereum smart contract, right? This is different from other models, other hybrid model like 0x or even IDEX and Omisigo, right? In which there's either layer 1 or layer 2, or there's either on-chain and off-chain part. Because one thing we realize is that smart contract can only talk to smart contract, right? So that's why if you run anything off-chain, if you run anything on your server, it's just impossible for any other smart contract to integrate with you, right? That's a simple technical insight that we realized back in 2017. We wanted to allow anyone can just integrate with Kyber without even asking for our permission, without even talking to our servers, because there's none, right? Everything is on the blockchain, everything is on the smart contract. They can just talk to the smart contract directly. And secondly, because we run everything on the smart contract, it allows full verification, right? At any point in time, people can look at the blockchain transaction and identify what's going on, what are the potential risks and things like that. This cannot be done if you run part of your solution on some centralized servers, right? Because no one can audit your servers, and you can do a lot of things in your server without the awareness of people of the people who use your protocol. Yeah, so with Kyber, we just wanted to do everything with full transparency, full verification technically, and at the same time allowing a very easy integration from anyone, any ecosystem players. And I think that's why to date, in terms of the ecosystem that have integrated with Kyber, we got I think we got the biggest ecosystems so far. More than 100 different projects already integrated with Kyber.
That's right, Loi, and I think you were very forward thinking, I suppose, back in 2017 to make those unique design choices that you did, and of course, make it permissionless and have everything on the blockchain and transparent and verifiable, and anyone can participate. And look, you're exactly right. Not only do you have over 100 blockchain projects that have integrated Kyber in some capacity. I think Kyber was the most used project in DeFi in 2019. Not sure that would be the case this year, but on track, right?
Yep, I think we really spend a lot of time thinking about how to remove all the potential friction for people to use and integrate with Kyber. right? That's why we are in many of the major cryptocurrency wallet, like Trust Wallet, like IAM Token, even the HTC blockchain phone wallet as well. They integrate Kyber natively, so the users on those wallet, they can just use Kyber under the hood without even knowing that they are using Kyber, right? So that really like helps with the adoption.
Sure. Look, I'd love to sort of get you to just maybe expand on this a little bit, Loi. And it's great to have you on because you're probably not many people have such a technical grasp of what's actually happening in DeFi as someone like yourself would. So look, don't be afraid to get too technical. Tell us what's actually happening. So I love the line that Kyber is the liquidity infrastructure for decentralized finance. So it's kind of easy to understand what that means. But yeah, I'd love to get your sort of definition of what you think that means and what that means going forward and what you're actually doing to achieve that.
Yeah, I mean, essentially we are trying to build an on-chain liquidity endpoint, right, for the decentralized finance. So what that means is that we allow professional market makers, we allow token teams, we allow anyone with enough token inventory can be the market makers, can provide the liquidity, right? And we aggregate all these liquidity contribution in one single interface so that, the application can use it, the users can do the trading, or, the DeFi application can utilize it as well. Basically, when it comes to liquidity, people can just talk to Kyber, right? People can just work with Kyber to either contribute more liquidity or to utilize the contributed liquidity, right? And we have been doing a lot of things in order to make this happen, right? And one of that, in terms of the liquidity contribution, we actually have different ways for people to contribute their liquidity or to be a part of the market making process. So we have the infrastructure to allow the professional market makers to do it on chain, right? Because really professional market makers, if we want this space to move forward, if we want this space to grow 10 times or even 100 times bigger, we really need the professional market makers, right? Because so far when we talk to on-chain liquidity, we usually talk about Uniswap or the automated market making. It's a nice and lazy way of liquidity contribution, but it's not efficient, right? And we can only go that far. If we wanted to have billions of US dollar on the public chain, so that we can compete with all the centralized counterpart, then we really need to work with the professional market makers because they are the one who can bring huge liquidity in, right? With only a small amount of capital, because they have a lot more control on how the pricing work, on how the inventory are utilized and things like that. So we have the infrastructure for this, and we have been working with several professional market makers to allow them to contribute and to market making on chain. We also have infrastructure for the token team or any individuals to set up something like Uniswap that we call the automated pricing reserve. Basically, they just need to put their inventory there and the pricing and everything. We just follow one specific formula, right? This is a very lazy way to contribute liquidity. But in Kyber, we have a new formula, basically a new curve that allow more efficient utilization of the inventory. So you don't need 1 million or a few million USD worth of inventory in order to provide the liquidity level like on Uniswap. You only need something maybe 10% of what is required on Uniswap in order to provide the same level of liquidity on Kyber. Yeah, and I think on the liquidity utilization or on the integration part, as I mentioned earlier, we have been working a lot in the last couple of years to really integrate with other wallets, existing DeFi protocols, even new and potential protocol as well. So that if they for example, if they need to liquidate any collateral, they can do it on Kyber, right? or if the users of some cryptocurrency wallet, they want to exchange or they want to swap a token, they can just do it like, within the wallet, right, with Kyber, because if Kyber is already integrated there, they don't have to go to any other website, right? They don't have to transfer the fund to any elsewhere. They can just do it instantly within the wallet.
Sure. And yeah, so if then ultimately, so you're talking about how you want Kyber to be, I guess, the single on-chain endpoint for DApp developers and liquidity providers or market makers, and to do that you need a strong ecosystem. And you've talked before about having the incentives being aligned between, I guess those three groups, the market makers, the DApp integrators and the DApp developers and builders, and I guess the third group is the KNC holders, right? And the KNC is the Kyber token.
Yep, I think that's one of the main motivation for us to really launch the Kyber DAO, right? Because at the end of the day, if you want to have a sustainable community or ecosystem, we really have to balance out the incentive of all the ecosystem players involved, right? So with Kyber DAO, we allow people to really split the network fees to incentivize either the KNC holders or the market makers and also the integration, right? So that they can collectively grow the protocol development together with the Kyber team. And so far we have been seeing a lot of engagement from the people in the community. If you look at the voting, more than 2,200 people already voted for the first voting campaigns, right? And I think it is by far the largest number of participants, the number of voters in an on-chain DAO, right? And we're super excited about this.
Okay, and so that's part of the you call it the Catalyst upgrade, and that was
exactly
that was earlier this month, right? And that was the beginning of the DAO, and just a whole lot of new incentives for KNC, and there's a burn program, and yeah, it's just the idea is to try and provide that virtuous token loop, right?
Yep. So yeah, I mean, it was really a very nice way to allow the community members or the KNC token holders to participate in the development of the project, right? Because now they can actually have more says in what they want, Kyber to develop, and what are the features they want to be implemented and things like that. And in the process of doing that, they will get rewarded as well. So I think it's a really nice model to incentivize community engagement in the development of the protocol.
Fantastic. Well, look, let's just get some general thoughts about where you see DeFi at the moment, and what's going to happen next, where it's going, and how do you see DeFi as kind of this? It's an incredibly exciting playground for, I guess, DeFi enthusiasts and crypto people, but what's needed for it to really take the next step and begin to pull in people from the mainstream? I mean, obviously the DeFi tokens have been doing very well this year, so people will be paying attention to that. But yeah, I mean, just general thoughts on what you see happening.
Yeah, I mean, I think we have been seeing a lot of experiments in DeFi, right? Yeah. And people, we also see a lot of excitement around DeFi as well. People anytime there's a new DeFi protocol launching, a lot of people would jump in, right? And to really participate in it, either for profit or just for their own curiosity, right? So, but I think in order to really grow to the mainstream and to be still around in the next maybe 3 to 5 years. Yeah. I mean, all the DeFi protocols, right? They need to think of a way to sustainably incentivize the users. and to really like engage the users. Like I think all the liquidity mining so far, I think they are really like for short-term, bootstrap, right? Like, it's a very nice way to attract the new users to participate and then to try out the protocol. But once the users, they realize that there's not money to make anymore, they will leave, right? And that's not a sustainable way to really like, grow the ecosystem. So I would say like, why there's still some excitement around, there's still some like crazy money to be made because of all the like super high interest and return. I would say like most of them will go away in the long run. Maybe like not even like long, maybe like within the next 6 to 12 months, we won't see like this craziness anymore, right? And all the protocols, all the projects, they need to think of a way to really have a sustainable development for their own, ecosystem. And this is what Kyber has been trying to approach as well, right? Like we want to build things that will last for the next like decade, right? It's not like we want to build some excitement for only like 3 months and then everything is gone after that.
Very nice thoughts. So what about the, this idea of, the sort of the competition between DeFi and CeFi? Or I guess, even a year ago, DEXs were quite underutilized, compared to any of the big centralized exchanges, Coinbase or Kraken, Binance. The DEXs weren't really in the picture, but that's starting to change. Do you see DEXs starting to really challenge the centralized exchanges?
Yeah, I think I think we can certainly like see that the volume from the decentralized trading or exchanges are actually so like all the decentralized ecosystem are actually gaining more market share from the centralized counterparts, right? And I think this is a good thing because it first of all it really shows that there's traction, right? There's new adoption, and people are actually like trying to use decentralized trading and decentralized or any other like decentralized application. But at the same time, I don't think they have to like compete, one versus the other, right? Because I mean, like end of the day, I think we still need both to be around. Centralized changes are there for for fiat on ramp and off ramp.
Yes.
And they're super important to educate the regulators, for example, so that there's going to be a friendly framework to support the space, right? Like look at the work that probably like Coinbase and a few others major exchanges in the US are doing. I think they need to be a good and well regulated platforms for the new retails to participate in the space, right? Because if we don't have, then it's going to be like there's going to be like potential scammers, and also like fraudulent happening in this space without being penalized, right? So we really need them for that certain reason. But at the same time, I think the majority of the trading activities for crypto to cryptocurrency should happen on decentralized platforms. Just because it's possible, and it also like makes a lot more sense to do so, because the whole point of cryptocurrency is to really like reduce or remove the potential intermediaries, right? And with crypto to crypto trading, I think we can certainly do that.
Sure. Well, just before we go to a break, and then we'll come back and finish off with the crypto conversation hot take round. But I wanted to ask you about the DeFi Liquidity Vortex meme, Loi, because one of the ways that we understand crypto today is obviously through memes, and memes are how we make sense of the world, how we poke fun at the sometimes ridiculous reality that is modern life in 2020. But yeah, have you seen the DeFi Liquidity Vortex?
I mean, to be honest, I haven't really followed all the memes, but I saw them from time to time.
Yeah,
And I laugh every time when I saw one.
Yeah, it's been going around on Twitter, and look, it's more of when I say meme, it's not. I guess the Liquidity Vortex itself is more of it's a visual that shows the crypto economic inputs driving the growth of the DeFi ecosystem, and the idea is, it's obviously the Vortex is sucking in assets from everywhere else, but it's kind of spawned memes from that, if that makes sense. But I'll put a link to that in the show notes.
Please do. I would love to see it.
All right, well, let's go to a very quick break, and then we'll come back. We'll finish off with the crypto conversation hot take round.
Whether you're an enterprise fund manager or a retail trader, buying and selling cryptocurrencies successfully requires price discovery you can rely on. Brave New Coin's liquid indices provide trusted US dollar prices for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Ripple. Featuring end-of-day or intraday outputs, you can count on the BLX, ELX, and XRPLX for accurate US dollar pricing for smart contract oracles, settlement price discovery, net asset valuation, and performance analysis. Visit bravenewcoin.com to find out more.
All right, we're back, and I'm with Loi Luu. Loi is the CEO and co-founder of Kyber Network. Loi, I like to finish each podcast with a quick round of rapid-fire crypto conversation hot takes. Are you up for it?
Sounds good.
All right, I just want your hot takes, your hot fire. Take your best shot. Here we go. Loi, where do you sit on the Bitcoin maximalist to multi-coin opportunist spectrum?
I would say I am out of that spectrum.
Yep.
I'm not in that spectrum. Basically, I support everything. Yeah.
I actually said on the last podcast, that question, it's become a little bit irrelevant. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to you, does it?
No, I mean, like, people can have their own philosophy and can have their own coin to support, right? But for me, I just support innovation. I support whatever development that is gonna improve our life, our society, right? So be it Bitcoin, be it multi-coin, or be it any other technology. Brilliantly
said, Loi. I love it. All right, what would you say is your firmest conviction crypto opinion?
I could say, like, with the movement of DeFi, I really like the saying that DeFi is eating the finance world. I mean, it really is. I mean, like, just to share a quick story, right? It's my personal story. So a few months ago, I wanted to buy some Tesla stock, right? I opened my bank app, I log into the interface, and then I click buy. And then there's a message saying that I am not qualified to buy it. Yeah. Why? Because I haven't taken any courses. And they asked me to go to take some course, get some certification to show that I am really qualified enough, right, to participate in it. But with DeFi, you can just do everything instantly, right? You can just log in your wallet and just do it anywhere, right? Anytime.
Yeah.
So I think it's the future. Yeah.
The democratization of finance. Yeah, open finance. Love it. All right. Well, Loi, Bill Gates famously said, "We tend to overestimate what we can accomplish in 2 years and underestimate what we can accomplish in 10. What does the DeFi space look like in 10 years' time?
This is a hard question. I never thought about it.
Speculate away.
Well, I would say I really hope that we can really at least get up to 5% of all the financial transaction in the world. If that happens, I think everyone will be happy. Yeah.
Okay, I think you're aiming low, but we'll see how we go. 10 years is a long time. Also, yes. Sci-fi author William Gibson, it's a famous quote. He said, "The future is already here, it's just not evenly distributed." Can you think of an example of the future being here right now, but most people just aren't really aware of it?
Well, I mean, we've been talking about it since the beginning of the podcast, right?
Yep.
It's cryptocurrency and it's DeFi. I mean,
sure.
I think only a small group of people are knowing it and are working on it and are using it, right? And
Yep.
the rest of the world, I mean, they still don't have the opportunity to really like learn more about it. So I think it's the job of like you and me to really educate more people outside.
Very nicely said. Okay, we're almost done, Loi, but it's time to zoom out. Big picture time. What is the long-term future for the human race? Do you see dystopia or utopia?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we like to get deep at the end of the podcast.
I don't really know how to answer this, really. But I think, given all the craziness happening and all the strange things happening in the last few months in our world, right? Like, all the COVID and pandemic, and also all the travel suspension, everyone changed the way they live, right? I just think that there's going to be more dynamic happening in the world, more things that will happen that we never experienced before. Yeah, and I think it's just going to be a lot of changes moving forward.
Well, it has been an absolute pleasure today to speak to you, Loi. So there's nothing else to say really, except the microphone is yours. Please take us out. Tell the people where they can go to find you on your various platforms and where they should go to find out more about Kyber Network and why they should do so. Go for it.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me. It's been exciting. Yeah, you can always join our Discord to really like discuss anything related to Kyber and also like cryptocurrency in general. There are a lot of like active members in our Discord group, and I think you will learn a lot by discussing with them. You can also follow our Twitter, at Kyber Network, or also like my Twitter as well, Loi_Luu. Yeah, I mean, look forward to building this together with everyone.
Fantastic, wonderfully said. Thank you very much. All the best, Loi.
Thanks a lot, Andy.
Boom, there you go. That was a fun one. That was today's episode. Thank you to Loi Luu and the team at Kyber Network. You'll find links to Loi and also to Kyber in the show notes. Also, as I mentioned, a link to the DeFi Liquidity Vortex. Is it a meme? Is it something else? I don't know. But shout outs to Don and Paul at Tekami Capital for popularizing or creating the DeFi Liquidity Vortex meme. Love your work, team. And yeah, all right. That's us for another episode. See you next time. See you real soon. This was the Crypto Conversation for Brave and You.